Hello, and welcome. Hopefully I'm going live now. Welcome to this 6-monthly planning workshop for writers. I'm Charlie from Urban Writers Retreat. I run writing retreats, obviously, but the reason behind that is to help writers to actually sit down and do the thing they want to do. So I also do other things that will help get people there, including online courses and tools, including planning workshops like this. Now, this workshop is kind of designed with the writer's diary in mind, but you don't have to have one in order to take part in this. It's probably going to be about half an hour, maybe slightly longer, but I'll try and keep it to as close to that as I can. And basically what this is about is resetting for the second half of the year, looking at where you're at, what you've done, what it is that you want to do, and we're going to have kind of a little extra bonus visioning exercise on top of what's in the diary, which is really, really nice to kind of get yourself feeling excited about what you want to do in the second half of the year. And this kind of process of continually coming back to your goals and reviewing them and going, okay, well, what do I need to do next? And then breaking that down again. It keeps you connected with the things that you want to do. It keeps it in your mind. And all of that stuff makes you more focused. It makes it more likely to happen. It reminds you to make time for writing, all that good stuff. So yeah, and it's really easy for life to take over. So a 6-monthly review seems like a good idea. So what I'm going to do is screen share and go into a kind of a presentation. If you have the diary, a lot of this will relate to, if you go to the start of July, there's a quarterly review there, and a lot of this will relate to that. And there's also a couple of notes pages there. So the extra visioning exercise you can do in there, and you'll also want your goals at the start. If you don't have the diary, don't worry, you can just type this free form onto your laptop, or you can just write things in by hand as you go. That is cool too. If you do have a diary or kind of a record of what writing you've done so far this year, maybe grab that now. You can pause me for a sec and yeah, let us get started. Let's try that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is do a little review of the first half of the year. So you're just going to take literally a couple of minutes to free write. So all of these exercises mostly are free writing ones. So you're going to write without stopping, without judging, without worrying about whether you've got it right. Just jot down the first thing that came to your head. And this is where you might want your diary. So you're going to celebrate your achievements. Just spend a couple of minutes writing down as fast as you can, flick through your diary, everything that you have done to do with writing so far this year. And also I want you to note down what's gone well, even tiny things. So if one particular habit has worked for you, if you've finished that tiny bit of work, if you've thought of a new idea, all of that stuff, put it in there. What have you actually written and done? What did you enjoy? And is there anything that you're proud of? So go, and we will have a couple of minutes on that. Okay, great. If you still need more time for this or any of the other sections, then you can just pause me if you like, or just come back to them in a minute. But part of the point of doing this is to do it quickly and not think too much about it. So, next section. What didn't go so well? Is there anything that you really wanted to have achieved by now, by this stage in the year, that you haven't? What has frustrated you? What has disappointed you? What kind of setbacks have you had? Why didn't you do the things that you wanted to have done by now? And also, how did you hold yourself back? It's not just about external things, it's about you not doing stuff as well. And this isn't to beat yourself up with, this is purely information, because this knowledge is power. This will give you information on what you need to change next time. And, you know, if you've done everything you wanted to, then woo, you can go and turn on the kettle for a couple of minutes. Okay, let's move on from that. We don't want to spend too much time on what you haven't done. All that you need to know is that there are some things that didn't go so well for you, and maybe some things that you can do about that to change. So we will move on to your writing habits. So in terms habit and routine, I guess routine really is so important for creatives, because if you are in a routine of producing work, that is how you produce better work. It's how you learn. It's how you develop. It's how you feel creative and in control and happy. So they're really worth focusing on. So what habits and routines have worked for you recently? What haven't, or haven't you had any routines at all? And then ask yourself, so do that, maybe write on that for a minute, and then in the second minute, just make a note of what changes would make your writing life better or easier. Because part of the thing about routines and habits is that they make your life easier. And so what can you do that will support you, that will make it easier for you to write, that will make it easier for you to write more regularly? Yeah, that will make it easier to get started and switch off from the rest of the world. So all that good stuff. Okay, off you go. And for this section, if you've got a diary, you can maybe look at your, what was it called? To do and not to do section. So basically, I'm thinking about my habits and I'm looking at what I've written down there. And everything that I said I should do is all of the things that I still need to do to make my life easier. So yeah, have a flick onto there if you've got your diary. Okay, we've had a couple of minutes on that. So this is the little bonus exercise that for those of you who have got the diary, it's not in there, but this is a really nice one. And you will have kind of done this at the start at the start of the year, for anyone who either did the workshop or who has the diary, we did this process of imagining, just kind of brainstorming what it is that you really want from your writing life, where you want to be, all of that kind of stuff. And that is what we created our goals from. Now, you can do this in two ways. You can either read through your goals now, if you set some at the start of the year, and kind of base your vision on that, or you can just do it fresh. And it's quite interesting sometimes starting afresh with this, because it might be that your dream for the end of the year now is not the same as your dream was 6 months ago. So regardless of how you do it, you can take a little look at your goals from the start of the year if you want, but you're going to free write. We're going to have 5 minutes on this one, so a little bit longer. And it's, how would you like your writing life to look by the end of the year? So what do you want to have achieved, or what do you want to be doing or working on? How do you want to feel about writing? What do you want your writing life to look like on a day-to-day level? And what you want to do is imagine it and describe it in as vivid detail as possible. So use your senses, and describe yourself moving through that life as this, this ideal version of yourself in 6 months' time. So it might be a day in your writing life. It might be what it feels like to hold that award. It might be looking at that book that you've got published, or your stack of articles, or you might just be you might imagine yourself sitting by a fireside looking back over the second half of the year. And what I want you to do is write this in the present tense, as though it's the 31st of December and all of this stuff has already happened and it's come true. So what would you like your writing life to look like by the end of the year? Start with the words, it's 31st of December and ... And you've got 5 minutes for this. Okay, how has that gone? Um, I hope that you've made yourself a really gorgeous, juicy vision for the end of the year of the exciting things you've done and how excited you are about next year and what you're doing with your writing. Um, Now, what we need to do is to turn that vision into some goals. Some of you will already have goals. So, if you have the diary or if you did the workshop at the start of the year, you will have created between 1 and 3 goals. And what you need to do in the next couple of minutes is go back and look at them and confirm that actually they're still what you want to do. So you might want to flick through some of the other work that you did at the start of the year as well. If you have not done goals yet, then that's cool. You are going to use these couple of minutes to set yourself some goals for the next 6 months. You are allowed no more than 3 goals. I mean, really, if you've got life and work and maybe you've got other projects, because a lot of creatives are interested in lots of things, then you should probably only have one writing goal at a time. So you could have 3 that go one after the other, or you could have one big one to see you through the 6 months. I'll let you have up to 3. But just be aware that the more things that the more ways that you split your focus, the less time you're going to have for each, the less progress you'll feel like you're making. And so it might actually be better to focus on fewer things at a time and really give them your attention. So let's have 4 minutes ish. So either read through the goals that you did at the start of the year and confirm or change them based on this visioning exercise that you've just done, or set yourself some new ones. Off you go. Oh, and sorry, for those of you who haven't seen this format before, this first sentence, I want to, is about where your goal wants to lead you in the future. So it might be, I want to be a respected academic. It might be, I want to make a living from my writing. It might be, I want to feel like a writer. So that's kind of, you can fill that in afterwards if you want. But it's about where that goal is going to take you in the future. Okay, cool. You should have a goal. Possibly you've got more than one goals. You may have goals that run concurrently or one after the other. They may or may not be the same goals that you started the year with. Doesn't matter. What matters is that they are things that you want to do now, that just make you sing inside and that really get you excited. It's not about goals that you think you should be doing or things that you feel will get you respect from other people, but actually make you, leave you full of dread a bit. This is about what you really want to do, because this year will never happen again. And quite honestly, other people don't matter that much. There's a very small amount of people in our lives that really matter and whose opinion really matters. And I think that a lot of us get caught up in setting goals for ourselves that are based on what society wants from us, or what we feel will get respect, or what we should do, that people won't judge us for. But actually, you're only here once, and why would you spend your precious time doing things that other people want you to do, or that will make you look good? It's all about, being creative is such a gift in our lives. It's something that we're really lucky to be able to be and to do creative things. So make sure that your goals are for you and that they're things that you really love and enjoy. So if you do need a couple more minutes, feel free to just pause this, and if not, then let us move on. Because the thing about goals is there's all these studies saying, oh yes, well, if you write down your goals, you are X percentage more likely to reach them, which is great. That's true, and part of the reason for setting big goals is that it almost doesn't matter. Well, it almost doesn't matter if you don't reach them, because the idea is that if you do nothing, then you probably won't get very far. If you aim really high, you may or may not reach it. If you reach that goal, then that's fantastic. If you only reach half of that goal, you've probably still done, however many times more than you would normally. So you can get yourself so much further even if you don't reach your goal. So goal setting isn't about beating yourself up. It's not about finding a stick to beat yourself with about what you're not doing. It's just about going, okay, what can I do next? What do I want to be doing? And giving yourself some support and some structure to try and get there. Which means that you do have to keep connecting with the goals. You have to keep them in mind. You have to keep coming back to them. You have to keep planning. So one thing that's quite important is that we have a tendency to, I guess, time is a strange thing. We think that what we think we can do in a year is not sometimes the amount that we actually can. Sometimes it's vastly more, sometimes it's vastly less. On a monthly and weekly basis, we quite often think, oh yes, of course I've got 20 hours a week to dedicate to writing, but that's not actually true. There's a lot of other stuff that gets in the way. So one thing that I do want you to just do briefly now, really do it while I'm talking, flick through your diary. What do you have coming up this says the next quarter, but really I mean the next half of the year, that might get in the way of your writing? Do you have a holiday? Do you know that you have massive work deadlines in September? Because this stuff, there's no point in making goals for yourself that you cannot reach, because your life is not going to allow you to do that. So just jot anything coming up in the next few months that is going to get in the way. And when you set your goals into quarters, you can take that into account. I kind of feel like I've placed this slightly in the wrong place, because I'm saying, the slide says, are your 3-month goals still right for you? And if not, amend them. Well, we're actually going to make the 3-month goals in a minute, so you can make sure that it does fit. So the other thing to do is think about, what can you do to give yourself more writing time? So if, for example, you know that you work well in big batches, can you start planning into your quarter, into your month, into your week, to have one whole day every month or every quarter when you just write? Can you build into these few months time to go on a writing retreat? Or can you build in a session every couple of weeks with a friend in a cafe. So yeah, just kind of jot this stuff down as we're writing. You don't need to take a lot of time over this, but it's just about, you know, being realistic about what you've got available in terms of time and what you can do to help yourself. So this goal/goals that you've just created, all you have to do now is split it into two. So just break it down into what can you achieve in Q3, so July, August, September, and what can you do in Q4, October, November, December. You can you can sort of reverse engineer it if you want. So you can start in the second half and move back, or you can start in Q3 and move on to Q4. But so taking into account what you've got going on in your life, look at your goal and break it into specific things that you will do by the end of Q3 that will get you probably roughly halfway there. So it needs to be specific. Ideally, it should be something measurable. It needs to be something that's actually achievable in the time that you've got. And again, just jot down a few notes now as we're working. Well, as I'm sort of chattering away to you. Oh, I've run out of space on my notes page. Okay, so that should be quite an easy thing to split up. It's a broad brush kind of a thing. Hopefully that hasn't taken you very long. So now we want to look at Q3, July, August, September. And again, broad brush, you don't need to say exactly what you want to do, but say if you want to write a first draft, then split it into thirds, or skew it according to your holidays, and just write very roughly what you're going to have finished in each month. Okay, cool. Again, if you need to, pause me for a second, but we're going to keep moving through this quite quickly. And now we're in July. So if you have the diary, then you will know that at the start of every week, there's a little box at the top, which says, in which you write this week, small steps towards my writing goals. And all you have to do is to break down this July goal into 4 and write them in your diary. If you have a regular diary, maybe what you can do is write these in to come up as a reminder at the start of your week, or write them in the top of your Monday section, or the Sunday one if maybe you don't use that very much, or in your phone, do yourself a reminder to come up every week. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes now to break your July goal down into weekly ones. Okay, cool. Let's see if I can. Da, 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 da. Got infinite screen share going on there. And that's it. I know it's really simple, but sometimes it's just good to actually put the time aside and have someone walk you through this stuff, because otherwise it just doesn't happen. So hopefully now what you've got is you've got an exciting vision of what the next 6 months is going to be like. You have set yourself some goals, made sure they're the right goals for you at the moment. You know what kinds of things you need to do to help yourself get there. You've broken them down very vaguely into quarters, and you've got a better idea of what you need to do month by month and specifically for this week. So keep coming back at the start of every week to what you need to do this week. And what you can do is, you probably can't do it now, but at the start of each week, well, unless you've got a really steady routine, in which case maybe you can. But with the weekly goals, try and set out when you are going to do your stuff at the start of the week. Put it in like it's a diary appointment, like it's a gym class, something like that, so that you can so that it's set in stone, and put reminders in your diary, all that good stuff. And then every week you can just come back to it and go, okay, well, what did I do last week? Same thing again. When you do your review, try to focus on what you did do and give yourself a bit of encouragement and praise for what you have done, because even if you don't get as far as you wanted, if you keep coming back to it, you will do more than you would have done otherwise. And these little steps really add up. So go have fun, be creative, do all the writing. Yeah, and I guess I'll see you in another 6 months to plan the next year.